Rabotai, we came to talk this morning about the severity of talking in Bet Knesset, talking in the synagogue. But specifically, I want to talk about a specific moment because the synagogue service is very long. Specifically on Shabbat, for example, the tefillah could last for 2.5 hours, 3 hours. But there's one moment in the service which is very, very critical, not only from a halachic standpoint, but from a health standpoint. I said a health standpoint, that the kahal should be absolutely silent. And I'll tell you, the halachic is what the Shulchan Aruch talks about, the isur, the restriction against talking during the Sefer Torah. Not only is it asur to talk during the Sefer Torah, but Shulchan Aruch says it's asur to talk even between the aliyot. I saw Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, alav shalom, when I prayed with him. In between aliyot, he would open up a Mishnah, and he would read the Mishnayot very quickly. And the second they would start the reading again, he would close the Mishnah and go back to the Chumash and follow inside. That means whether you're a Moshe Feinstein or you're a regular simple Moshe from the street, when the Sefer Torah is being read, the halakha says nobody has a right to do anything else but to listen to the Sefer Torah. That's the halakha. Everybody knows that. We had a big rabbi here in the synagogue once, if you remember the story, Rabbi Shlomo Busu. He's the grandson of Baba Sali. He was in this synagogue that we're talking in today. And he was the Baal Koreh. He was reading the parasha. He was the Baal Koreh also. In the middle of the reading, he heard a little murmuring. Even though Baruch Hashem, our synagogue is considered a quiet shul, but sometimes people have to say something, they can't control themselves. So even that one little murmuring, he stopped. After the aliyah, he says, Rabotai, what I'm going to tell you now is a to'elet, is a benefit, and I have to tell it to you now because we can't continue because I heard murmuring during the Sefer Torah. He says we have a tradition that when we read the Sefer Torah, that moment is a replica or a duplication of Matan Torah. And he goes on to say, he says, the teva that the Torah is on is like Har Sinai. And the Sefer Torah itself is like the Luchot. And the one that's reading it, Kivyachol, it's like coming out of the voice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he went through all the different details, how this moment of reading Sefer Torah is Ma'amad Har Sinai. And what does it say when God gave the Torah? It says at the time that God gave the Torah on Har Sinai, all the sick people and all the wounded people, all the people that had blemishes, they were cured. Just make a calculation. When we came out of Egypt, we were slaves for 210 years. Even though we came out of Egypt, but people had to be beaten up. People had to be missing limbs. People had to, Shalom, had problems with their eyes. People must have had internal issues. Just for the mere fact that they were slaves for 210 years, the people got to Har Sinai, they were all beaten up. And it says in Midrash that when they came to Har Sinai and they started to give the Torah, all the wounded people, all the blind people got their eyesight back, all the deaf people got their hearing back, all the people that had diseases, they were cured. So Rabbi Busu said that we have a tradition that every time we read Sefer Torah and there's decorum in the Sefer, it's a segulah to cure all the people that are in the congregation. And therefore he said, who's going to be so selfish that you're going to talk during the Sefer Torah? Maybe somebody came for that moment in order to receive a refuah. And he went on to say, I have stories that are tried and tested of congregations that accepted upon themselves not to talk during the Sefer Torah from beginning to end. And they had in mind certain names. They kept the names next to the Sefer Torah. They put a list of all Cholim, and they put and they said in the Zechut of this moment of Matan Torah, these people, and miracles, he said, happened. Miracles where doctors said, how was it possible that the person got better? And therefore he says, today Am Yisrael has a lot of Chas v'Shalom sickness, more so than other times. We hope it shouldn't be that way. But this Sigula that he gave us, that the decorum during the Sefer is able to cure people. And he said, maybe somebody came to synagogue in order to benefit from that. Don't hurt the guy. Don't hurt the guy. And therefore I say, Rabotai, we need to mehazek ourselves. not only from the halakhic standpoint, but from the health standpoint, that keeping a proper decorum in the Bet Knesset can benefit us, not only refu'at nefesh, but refu'at guf as well.